Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here with you today about a kind of fun topic, I think, which is using secret shoppers in your practice. This can help you boost your medical practice's performance and do a lot of other kinds of evaluations of your practice, as well as secret shopping at a competitor's practice. Secret shopping in a medical practice, also known as healthcare mystery shopping, is a method to evaluate the quality of care provided by your practice. And secret shopping allows practices to understand the patient journey from start to finish. This includes things like the phone call or online booking, surgery scheduling, testing, and checkout, and the experience that they're going to see or have, I should say. Identifying pain points in these areas helps to enhance the overall patient experience. Secret shopping encourages a culture of continuous improvement within the practice, and regularly doing secret shopping can be used to implement changes that could positively impact patient care and your operations. Healthcare mystery shopping is a research tool that uses secret patients to provide detailed and unbiased feedback to your practice about your patients' experiences and experiences with all of your staff. It provides high quality data and actionable insight to empower strategic data-driven decisions. And, we're in a competitive space. The healthcare market is a competitive space. So you can also be assured with the changes you make from the secret shopping experience, your brand identity and service awareness, and make sure those things are strong. A healthcare mystery shopping program can provide firsthand insight as to what it's really like to be a patient in your practice. Secret shopping can provide a number of benefits to a business, including finding out what your competitors are doing differently. If you secret shop your competitors, find out your office environment. How's your office environment? Is it welcoming? Is it warm? Also, you can evaluate if you go to other practices, their marketing strategies, pricing, and services, and what are they doing differently that you can maybe incorporate into your own practice, and compare your patient's experience with their patient's experience. Mystery shoppers can evaluate office conditions, cleanliness, organization, employee interactions, and even if you get an experienced secret shopper who is experienced in ophthalmology, you can even look at their technician skills and the bedside manner of the doctor and things that a regular patient might not notice. For instance, are they washing their hands? And are they confirming dates of birth? And those sorts of things. So to secret shop your competitors, you can evaluate your practice against another practice. And so it gives you more information than any market research report. So you can look at the way they have their office environment. And I've been in hundreds of ophthalmology practices with our training and consulting services. And it's really interesting going in these practices and seeing how like every practice does things a little different. And sometimes I go in and I'm like, wow, that is a great idea, or how cool that they did this. And so you can really gain some great insight from looking at your competitors. You can also maybe identify areas to increase your efficiency. Maybe the competitor is doing something in a way that's different from how you're doing it, and you can directly observe that it's a lot more efficient. And it might not have been something you would have thought of on your own. However, because you're seeing it in that practice and seeing it in action and evaluating its efficiency in real time, you might really want to adopt that. if you find it, beneficial. Also, their appointment availability. If it's an established, known doctor in the area and he has an appointment ready the next day, could be that he had cancellations, but it could be he's not real booked out. If they give you an appointment in 3 months because they have nothing until 3 months, that also gives you some information about your competitor, that their patients are having to wait a long time to get an appointment with them. You can also look at the pricing of your competitor. I'm thinking of things like the optical. You could look at what their package prices are for, progressive ad lenses or different lens packages. You could also look at what their pricing is for premium lens services. If you aren't already phakic, they would wonder about the secret shopper who wants to know about IOL packages if they're phakic. So you have to be pseudophakic to do that and probably not have good vision. But then you can do an unbiased evaluation of the other practice. And that's really a take-home point here. Whoever does your secret shopping, you want them to be completely unbiased. In my practice, my doctor a few times over the years would have a friend come in and have an appointment and then tell us afterwards that that was one of my friends and here's what she found. But the problem with having a friend or a relative do a secret shopping is, one, they may not be totally frank with you because they may not want to hurt your feelings or be too critical about your practice. Two, they're not trained in how an appointment should run, how long a workup should take, how long it should be till you, in the dialing area, till you see the doctor. So they don't necessarily have the insight and wisdom and experience to give you a really good secret shopping experience. So it's often best to have someone outside of your practice who knows ophthalmology to go in and do these secret shopping experiences. So when you deploy a secret shopping experience, it demands meticulous planning and a commitment on gathering the insights. So first you want to define what are your objectives, like what specifically are you looking at? What do you specifically want attention towards? And then share that with your secret shopper. Then you need to identify a secret shopper. So this could be, like I said, a friend or a relative, which isn't the best way to do it, or somebody that is knowledgeable about ophthalmology and not known to the other practice. However, you can't secret shop your own practice. But maybe an outside secret shopper would be best for that, to really get raw data and real unbiased data. And you want to provide training to the mystery shopper, tell them what you're looking for, what you want, maybe give them a checklist that they could keep on their cell phone so they can make notes during their visit in the practice, and then discuss different scenarios that might come up so that they're really prepared for this experience, seeing it as a mystery shopper as opposed to a regular patient that may or may not have different expectations than a mystery shopper would. Then when you deploy it, you want to be very strategic in deploying it. I recommend, if you're secret shopping a competitor, to have the secret shopper go into the office twice, even if you're secret shopping your own practice. They can go in the morning, and then of course, if they're dilated, which they will be if they're a new patient, they're going to need time for their eyes to undilate. Otherwise, your doctor's going to be ordering an MRI on them. And so I recommend that they change their appearance and go back in the afternoon after the dilation's worn off. And you can do the same thing at other practices. You can do an early morning appointment and then a later afternoon appointment, changing your appearance in the meantime. So after the secret shopping experience, you want to discuss what the outcome is with the whole management team, everybody on your management team. And that goes for whether you're secret shopping yourself or whether you're secret shopping competition. Then you need to discuss how are you going to change things what are our strategies to make change come about to improve the things that we see that we need to do a little differently. And then you're going to share it with your staff, of course, appropriately. You may not want to share what other practices are charging for different services. That's probably a little oversharing, but you want to share with the staff appropriately. Then you're going to implement changes. All right, we have a question from Joji. Thanks for asking it, Joji. Question for the end. I didn't realize that till I said it. How can you adapt these strategies for secret shopping on a competitor's website? So I don't know if you can give me a little more information in that, because obviously you can go look at any competitor's website anytime. So why don't you add something to that question to give me a little more clarity, and then I'll answer it at the end. Thanks for asking it. All right, so how can your report help you? Well, first of all, you may want to refine your messaging. So maybe there's something that you are messaging to your patient, whether it be marketing materials that are available in your office or ways that the doctor, expresses him or herself, and share that with your staff so that you can maybe refine your internal messaging as well. Then you want to think about optimizing service quality. So if there were times that your secret shopper in your practice waited a long time, you might want to go back and do a data study of that day as far as the template and time in and time out, etc. By the way, on that note, when you are doing a time flow study, I don't recommend using EMR for the tech time in and tech time out and doc time in and doc time out, because they're notoriously inaccurate. What we did in my practice is we had a little, first of all, you have to synchronize all your clocks in the office. And then we had a little thing that we stapled very short, cut off piece of paper at the very top of the route slip or whatever you might use, where they would check check-in time, because maybe they were later, maybe they were early, then chart up time, then tech in and tech out, testing in, testing out, doc in, doc out, and then if they go to surgery scheduling, you could time that too. But everybody has to be on board in your practice to do this, because if you have one data point missing, you will not be able to evaluate that day. So my staff, because we did it all the time, it became a habit for them. In the beginning, they would sometimes forget to mark their times, but after a while, it was just part of doing the workup, and they were really good at tracking times. So if I had a day that ran bad and one of my doctors came in and complained and said, why did I have an hour, downtime in the middle of the afternoon, I could go back and look at the previous day's data and figure it out. I didn't look at the data every time, but if I had something come up, I had that data on the route slips that I could, analyze. So optimizing your service, not only service time, but your service quality. Are your techs professional? Do they keep their back to the patient when they're entering into the EMR, or are they nice enough to say, excuse me, I'm just going to turn my back to you for a moment? So a lot of these things are important things that you will never know is going on in your practice unless you secret shop. So one of the services we offer is secret shopping, and it is so often that we give practices insight that they had no idea was going on. Sometimes shenanigans, sometimes just poor customer service. And so getting an outside person to check this is really a good idea. Then you may want to adjust your promotional tactics. Maybe another practice that you evaluate has a different way of marketing different services, especially premium lens services, premium IOLs. Also, maybe in your own practice, your mystery shopper goes in and nobody talks to them about going to optical or your optical service or any other premium services you have. For instance, if you have aesthetics, Maybe, your tech should be mentioning that to patients. Then it can also help you with handling patient complaints and questions, because when you're sitting in that waiting room, oftentimes you can hear the people on the phone. And if you're going to a competitor's office, oftentimes you can, depending on how their office is set up. But listening to the incoming and outgoing phone calls of the staff can give you great insight. Now, you may have recordings you can go back and look at, but it takes a lot of time to go hunt through hours of recordings. So that isn't probably the most efficient way to get that information. But how are your staff handling patient complaints and questions? Maybe a patient complains and the person says, "Well, I'm sorry, that's our policy." That's not the best answer. So it can tell you places where you might need to do more training with your staff, run customer service scenarios with your staff. And then you can maybe look at optimizing your staff. Let's say your competitor's staff is much leaner than yours and they're very efficient. Maybe you can look and see, why are they so efficient and when they have less employees doing these jobs? And maybe you can gain insight from that. So really a lot of insight you can gather from these reports. So your secret shopping experience can metamorphize your practice. You have your practice now, you do the secret shopping, and you may create enough changes to really positively impact your productivity and your patient experience, as well as quality of care. The other thing that secret shopping does, especially if you do it periodically, maybe once a year or whatever, it creates a culture of continuous improvement. It sends a message to your staff that we always want to try and get better. I have a practice that I've worked with a number of times in northern Minnesota, and their motto is, we could always find a way to do things better. Even if we're great, which by the way, they are amazing. All parts of the practice are just really high level quality, great customer service, professional staff, really, really have it down. But the administrator told me, I'm always looking for things we can do to get even better. And that's a great mindset to take with your practice. Again, shopping competitors, it can help you find competitive advantages. Maybe there's something your competitor is doing that you're doing better. Well, maybe you want to really exploit that in your practice because the other practices aren't doing things like that, like you're doing. Then you want to implement the changes that will positively impact your patient care and operations efficiencies. By the way, if you're interested in learning more about our secret shopping, the website is down below. It's just my website /secret shopping. Pretty easy to remember. So it's really important to find out what patients really experience in your practice, and secret shopping is usually the best way to do that. All right. Joji, do you want to unmic or unmute yourself and expand on your question, if you don't mind? Oh, wait, I see you wrote something. You were thinking that a lot of information shared via website, patient satisfaction. Absolutely. So when we do secret shopping, we are looking at Yelp reviews, Google reviews, and all of that. And it can help us focus our attention on the pain points that appear to be a problem in your practice or a competitor's practice. And as you know, because I know you all look at your own reviews, as you know, a lot of the reviews are just prickly patients who will never be made happy. So you have to take it with a little grain of salt. The cost, patient satisfaction, insurance is accepted. If you're in a rural community without close competitors, I'm assuming that these are things you can learn just from looking at their website. She's wondering if I think this is valuable or in-person secret shopping is the way to go. Well, okay, so you have to realize that looking at their website is how your competitor wants to be seen, right? It's their best foot forward. The reality may be that things are all awry in their office, and you would not know that unless you went and visited. And like I said, always look, as a secret shopper, we always look at competitors' reviews on different platforms. But that's really limited information. Like I mentioned earlier, Joji, I've been in practices where I was like, "Well, I have never seen another practice do that. That is so smart." And so you can just get really great ideas this way, or find out that you have a competitive advantage versus your competitors. Maybe they're not really competitors. All right. Do we have any other questions? If you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and we'll be glad to answer those. And in the meantime, our next webinar, we are doing a series of auditing. So secret shopping is a form of auditing. And so our next one is going to be about auditing and evaluating ophthalmic techs. This is strengthening your team, finding out what is really going on in there. I could tell you stories of crazy things I've seen going on in lanes that you would be shocked to hear. And it's going on, and their practice probably has no idea. So doing some evaluations of ophthalmic techs and other parts of your practice, and that's another service we offer, which is technician skills evals. And we include training. So if they're doing anything that's not exactly done according to best practices, we also do training on the fly. So we know a lot about auditing and evaluating technicians. And one of my trainers, Becky, is on the call. Becky, you want to unmute for a second and say hello to everybody and tell them about our tech skills evals?
Well, absolutely. So it's one of my, I think, most fun projects to do skills evaluations as far as my perspective. But I go in and I observe every technician that you want me to. Um, and you get a report out of it. So you'll get a report on their skills, my observations, where can there be improvement made, any training that was done on the fly, which is what happens. So if I see a skill that is being done not according to best practices, right after the patient is done with that technician, we'll just review it real quick and I'll say, okay, for instance, a lot of, for instance, pupils are often the skill that is done not according to best practices. So what I'll do is I'll show the proper steps to check their pupils, and then I also explain why we have to do it a certain way. Um, and they really get a lot out of it right there and then. It's not a class where they're sitting through watching a video and then we practice. This is right there and then after, of course, they're finished with the patient. So and experienced technicians, new technicians, I think it's important to keep an eye on your experienced technicians as well. Don't assume that they're doing everything right just because they've been doing it for 35 years. Um, a lot of good information comes from that as well. And also all the good things they're doing. Boy, I really like how she handled this, grumpy patient, or, she did great research prior to seeing the patient. Um, good communication skills, smart exam flow, things like that. So it's it's a good bucket of information for you and your technicians. And the information I write on the report, I share with them as well. So I'll tell them, great job on this, or let me show you a different way to do that, or let me explain why we have to kind of tweak your process a little bit. Also tips and tricks on exam flow efficiency if I see any things that where they can improve. So it's a win-win for the practice and for the technicians.
Thanks, Becky. And one of the things I think is coolest about our technician skills evals is we greatly honor your schedule. You don't have to cut back your schedule. We want to see the techs in their natural habitat, so to speak, so a full schedule. And we're very respectful of keeping the tech on schedule. So when we do this training, we do it quickly and in between when we have a moment. And the other cool thing about it is maybe Susie needs training in pupils and is great and everything else. And maybe, Kathy is doing a poor refraction, but is doing pupils great and everything else. That way each tech gets their own individual training they need based on, it's like gap training. And that way you're not, like she said, doing a whole all-day course for everybody when many of people may be doing a lot of the skills correctly. So we can pinpoint just on the skills that they need help with. So thank you all, and thank you, Becky. Thank you all for joining us today, and hope to see you. Oh, that says June 10th, doesn't it? It's October 10th, not June 10th. So I'll see you guys
Hey,
hopefully.
Sharon, could I mention something?
Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that people who have not done secret shopping, I think are intimidated by it because I think the assumption is that everybody knows you're from a competitor and every eye is on you, which we know that's really not the case when we go in there as a secret shopper. I just wanted to share an experience. We lose a lot of optical business to Costco. And Sam's Club and some of those individuals. And so I actually sent one of my opticians to Costco to do a little secret shopping, and he did a really good job. And he came back with some great information in terms of like their warranty, who staffs them, and what their knowledge level is, and just so that we created our strategy for not necessarily, just helping us draw out the differences between us as a private practice where we know we have a higher cost for glasses than a Costco, but really was able to learn a lot of information during that one secret shopping trip to find out that, Costco, please don't take my word for it, but the way I heard it from my optician is that Costco really sells like last year's season stuff, things that are discontinued, and that's why they're able to offer them for a less of a price than we do. They don't warranty their work. There isn't one free like remake, things like that. So we actually created our optical sort of elevator speech about what do we offer versus Costco as a result of that secret shopper. And so it was a little hard to sell to my optician, but once he did it, I think he understood what the value was and the fact that, now we can respond when people say, oh, well, you're so much more expensive than, fill in the blank. And now we actually accentuate, those things that we bring to the table that we know that other folks don't.
You're right. You get what you pay for. And that's a great story to share. I appreciate that. As a tech, when I used to be a tech, we got more glasses remakes from Walmart and Costco opticals than anywhere else. They tend to use cheaper quality lenses that have aberrations, spherical aberrations, and distortions in the lens. So you're absolutely right. Your patient is better off shopping at a higher quality store. Well, thank you all for joining us again. I'll see you hopefully on October 10th for our next webinar, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.